Alright, this is gonna be about mana. I'm gonna have to talk about what it is first, because there's three different things called mana. One, video games. That's what most people are probably gonna think right away, but no, it's not. Like, your magical power. Second mana is there is a Muslim food. I don't know if it's Arabic food. I don't know. Called manna. That is it's like dough balls and flour. I don't know. I had one and I mean, it tasted good. They're kind of like weird cookies. I don't know. Strange food, but try it once at least. I mean, uh, but the actual manna is biblical manna is not the actual manna. Stuff that God sent down from heaven to feed people. The whenever the Jews were going through the desert, the 40 years after they got out of Egypt, stuff rained down from the heavens to feed them when they had no food, and they just picked up every morning and they would eat it, and it was bread from God, the manna, and so I'm gonna talk about that and what I think it is. All right, first the biblical verses. The whole Israelite community set out from Elam and came to the desert of Sin, which is between Elam and Sinai. Sinai, that's weird. All right. On the 15th day of the second month after they had come out of Egypt in the desert, the whole community grumbled against Moses and Aaron. The Israelites said to them, "If only we had died by the Lord's hand in Egypt. There we sat around pots of meat and ate all the food we wanted." Passover. Uh, but you have brought us into this desert to starve this entire assembly to death. Uh, then the Lord said to Moses, "I will rain down bread from heaven for you. The people are to go out each day and gather enough for that day. In this I will test them and see whether they will follow my instructions. On the sixth day they are to prepare what they bring in, and that is to be twice as much as they gather on the other days." So Moses and Aaron said, blah, blah, okay. So, what I think was going on, okay, possibly what was in the Ark of the Covenant. Just realized this shit. Alright, I think, what the manna was, is the priests were going out every morning and sprinkling mushroom spores, alright? Because when you go mushroom hunting, you have to flick the tops of the mushrooms to make the spores come out, or else there no more mushrooms will grow. So if you go hunting enough times and you take enough mushrooms and you don't, like, flick the top so the spores come out before you pick them, then they're just gone one day. So I think what happened is the the priests had figured this out. Aaron's family and Moses' family had figured this out, and you can eat mushrooms, certain kinds. And I'm not saying they were eating trippy mushrooms. I'm just saying that they were eating some kind of mushroom. So I think the priests figured out what spores were when everybody probably just thought mushrooms grew magically because spores are so like microscopic. They probably didn't see them, but they discovered they could carry them, and because if you put it in water and stuff, that you can carry it, and that's probably why the Mary carried around the Ark of the Covenant and it was so heavy and shit. And fucking, that's probably like, I'm not positive about that, but this is a theory that I mean, I already had the theory about the manna, but this Ark of the Covenant, that might have been what's in there. But they the mushrooms, they grow just in the morning, only in the morning. So it says, "Oh, right." And the people are to go out each day and gather enough for the day, which means they were going out in the early morning. If you go mushroom hunting, you have to go at like 2 to 5 in the morning, like 5 at the latest. Like, so that's probably what they were doing, just going and gathering mushrooms. And the priests would put the spores out, and the people wouldn't flick the tops. So the priests they got to control it. They got to control what happened by because they controlled the spores and whether or not the mushrooms would come back the next day. So then that's why on the Sabbath you're not allowed to pick manna. It says, hold on. In the evening you will know the Lord who has brought you to Egypt. In the morning you will see the glory of God because he has heard you grumbling against him. Who are we that you should grumble against us? Moses said, and you will know the Lord. Blah blah blah. Okay, something if you can read it. It's Exodus 16. It's a lot of verses. They pick too much one Saturday, and I know they go picking one Sunday, and then the manna stops coming or something, and I think that's where I think mushrooms are the bread that they were picking. They just called it bread from God because it was stuff that they could eat that they didn't really understand, and I mean, There was no such thing as like a mycologist, I think it's called. There was no such thing as that back then, and the priests were acting like them. You know what I mean? They were the first mycologists, like figuring out how to do it, and that's why the like priests, like they were secret knowledge. You know what I mean? Like first mycologists, the same as I think maybe in the Garden of Eden, that was like the first psychologist kind of fucking with people and trying to figure out human minds and like tell them, no, don't do this and don't do this, don't eat this plant, don't eat it, while he tripped on mushrooms and like watched them and figured out their emotions and shit. But yeah, I think that's what the manna was, mushrooms. It's not bread that fell down from the sky. It's mushrooms that grew from the ground.